it doesn't allow for as much innovation and creativity when you start something from zero.
The most important set of questions I've been wanting to ask. If you were building your own company from scratch, and you've seen it from both sides, you've seen it from growing it, scaling it, being the CEO, chairman, and you've been in many cases, wildly successful PE operator positions, taking it from here, getting it to here because there's a fun life. How would you do it if it was your own game? I mean, there's two sides to that equation, because by having the pressure of knowing exactly here's the targets, here's that precision, here are the numbers, this is what we want to achieve, here's the multiple, here's the exit point, there is some level of no fog of war. Either you are winning or you're losing, and this is exactly the measure of it.
Yeah.
On the flip side, when you're a founder-led company, you kind of take a lot more windy of a path because it's not always the same metrics. But there are pros and cons to both. What are the things that you would do from scratch if you were to take away best practices here, best practices there? And what wouldn't you do? Best practices here, worst practices here, worst practices there.
Yeah, I think that, that's a great question. I'll try to answer it succinctly. I think that the when you're starting something like Secure America's Employee 0001, you got that blank canvas. You really don't know what you're going to be, and it's kind of exciting, but it's kind of scary. What I So I like that to some extent because, every day you're like, wow, we did this, we did this, we did this. And you look back 3 years, 5 years, you're like, oh my gosh, we started with nothing and here we are. With private equity, again, it's very prescriptive. I guess if I could blend the two together and allow for, if I could say, all right, yeah, you got your thesis and here's what we're going to do. But I think that if we can pivot and do this over here, we're gonna leapfrog that thesis and we're gonna do something even better, right? And that rarely exists in a PE setting. Some will let you do it. I mean, I think we've got a really good group that I'm working with now, but it how do I say it? It doesn't allow for as much innovation and creativity as you have when you start something from zero.
So then,
And I'd like to find a way to weave that creativity in there because I think that truth be told, it's been very great. I enjoyed it. I love our groups, but I feel like sometimes, it could have been even better. Does that make sense?
that's what I was wondering. So
And that makes
maybe,
me crazy. I hate leaving something on the table. Go ahead.
maybe, and let me brainstorm for a second. So we have a target of deploying about $250 million a year in less than 5 years, which is 500% growth rate from where we are today. I look at that as a very challenging beta line. Like, we need to do that. We will do everything we can to figure it out, whether it's new models, new markets, new lenders, new products, and we know what those metrics are. I almost think of that as our PE plan. We've got targets,
Right,
we've got margin, we've got unit economics. We kind of have that plan. At the same time, how we've always been successful is not incremental. The reason why we're still almost doubling every year to less than 18 months a year is the creativity
That's right.
and the innovation to solve problems that we don't really know. Because, John, it's a peculiar situation we're in. We don't have to grow. Think about this. There is no mandate for us to grow. Yes, we have some shareholders, but a very small number of shareholders, right? Internally, we hold the vast majority of the company.
Sure.
So when we make a decision, first as being a fiduciary to our investors, but right now, being a fiduciary to investors is not demanding more growth. So we're in a safe position. So we've created an artificial beta line
Right.
of
Right.
very strong, heavy growth, almost like a PE expectation. It's like, you don't want to buy this asset if you don't want to grow the asset. But then there's this philosophy we've had of spinning out companies.
Uh-huh.
We've now spun out, I think, 3 or 4 different companies which have adjacency with the technology or the services and systems inside the business. But if you know kind of the story of Cricket Wireless, it almost died.
Right,
Met
right.
Robin, the founder of that company, and Cricket Wireless is like a nothing compared to, I think it's part of AT&T. It's a nothing when it started. And those innovative, what is it called? These foundries or these innovation centers at large corporates is almost like a joke. Because the moment there's a recession, it's kind of like, yeah, this is kind of a budget line item we're just going to dilute.
Exactly right.
But by spinning it out, bringing leadership around that autonomously and investing from the mothership over to there, but having it spin out and create scale, we've had a lot of success with. So
That's
it doesn't
fantastic.
get murdered by the core business just
That's
protecting
right.
itself. I don't
It's
know what
not
your
bo
thoughts are.
No, I love that, and because you're not it's not boxed in to that core mission and vision, right? "Hey, we gotta deploy this, et cetera, et cetera." If I had the ability to do that and spin, organizations out, I'd find that very, very exciting, very liberating because then you can protect the core, right, what you're trying to accomplish, but you have this other entity over there, and it gives you the ability to say, "Okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next?" And that's very powerful.